spend a couple hours here on Sundays?
Yeah. Here and come in and get everything set up for Monday morning. It's a lot easier that way. I've got to make sure my job is as simple as possible coming in on Monday morning. There's another whole step that is kind of integral to this. Heat up the milk and heat up the butter, and you got to heat it up and watch it because it can't be too hot. Your butter's all melted, but you got to keep the whole thing under 110 degrees because of you're using yeast. It can be a little bit on the difficult side to work with. So good thing that I found works really, really well for us is if you have an electronic water kettle with temperature control on it, you save yourself a lot of trouble because you can tune the temperature directly to what it is that you're looking for. So I just tune ours to 110 degrees and start my water. Go ahead and mix my yeast with it, but when you're doing cinnamon rolls, you're not using water, you're using milk and you're using butter, so you stick it in a pan. I like to chop up the butter into smaller little pellets. Start heating up the milk really low, drop the butter in there, get a whisk, and then routinely go back and just keep the butter moving around, because I find if the butter's moving through the liquid, it kind of gives off the fat faster into the milk and will melt, and kind of brings the whole thing up a little bit slower. If not, your milk will get hotter and the butter will continue to give off, but you'll have milk that's too hot, and it just throws the process off. So you put your sugar in with your butter and your milk mixture, and you have your temperature at the right level, and everything works together, and you let it have a little bit of time to get to know each other for about a minute, and that yeast starts eating the sugar and then giving off gas and making bubbles. You add your flour to it, and then once you add your flour to it, you kind of use a little spatula and you kind of want to gently kind of fold them in, and what you get is what's here. And this sat out on the counter for about an hour and a half yesterday, like this, and it blew up. Step one here is going to be a little bit of flour on our surface. Going to get my salt. So the thing about cinnamon roll dough that's a little odd, in my opinion, is that you, of course, start it with your butter and your milk and your flour and your sugar, but you add in the other stuff later, the salt and the baking powder, and when you're kneading it, you mix it in that way. And that flour first coats it really nicely on the outside, makes it so much easier to work with. And then just go and work it all in, moving that dough around, getting a little bit more flour into it. You can feel the fat content in it because it's a lot of milk, it's a lot of butter, and it's being held together with flour. So it's flour, and it's got a lot of gas in it because of the yeast. So it wants to make air bubbles too when you let it sit still. So it's good to, once you form your cinnamon rolls out, to letting it rise again and sit together before you bake it. So now what I want to do is I kind of want to cut this in half because it's so much easier to work with half of this. So we've got 2817, so call it about 1400. Okay, so we've got this divided. So now we are going to form our dough. And then just kind of reincorporating flour. It's easier to work with when it's colder, so I kind of want to get this done, you know, as soon as possible. It's got so much volume to it, though, even the small pieces, where just like rolling it out kind of does most of the work for you as far as like repairing any tears that will happen in it. You know, we intended when we were opening the coffee shop that we were going to focus on making coffee, and then we were going to outsource our baked goods. And both my wife and I were bakers. We love to make things at home, so this was definitely an opportunity for us to really sharpen our skills as far as, you know, just home cooks. But we realized that, you know, we were making stuff at home that we thought was good enough that people would like it. So we're like, you know, heck, let's go ahead and, you know, let's give it a shot, because the worst thing that can happen is we had the oven anyways. The only major investment we needed here was for the hot plate and the pan, and that wasn't a major investment if you consider $200 to be major. The only thing that we were lacking at that time was confidence. You know, it's like, because whenever you're going into something new, there's always that, oh, is anybody going to like this? Going to use about 2 ounces on each one. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you put the rolls in and let them sit in the oven or sit in the refrigerator overnight, one of the things that happens is the butter and the sugar and the cinnamon that you put all together and you put it in there, a portion of that starts leaking out down into the pan. You take a spoon and then you take it and you put it right on top of the dough, and then you put it in the oven and it kind of caramelizes a little bit on the top. So it's going to get a nice toasty top on it, and it's going to have sweetness not just on the inside but also on the outside as well. And yeah, it should be pretty awesome. So now I'm going to take a little bit of butter, kind of just get its different areas, and then got my little frosting spreader here, kind of just working it out all to different areas, trying to be as even as possible. We've got this here. I'm going to just kind of get a little fistful, and if you are on a sugar-restricted diet, maybe cinnamon rolls aren't for you. Just saying that based off of, you know, some tangential knowledge of the situation. Take our cinnamon. There's a reason why they call them cinnamon rolls. Our next step is I kind of want to get this as even as possible, but of course you are dealing with dough. And dough is going to do what dough wants to do when dough wants to do it sometimes. So trying to get this up a little bit, and then I'm going to try and slowly, while I'm trying to get it going, stretch it in and fold it under. And so these will go in for 10 minutes one side and then turn it around another 5. Usually have to add like a little extra from there.